Good afternoon, and welcome back to the FY14 NE Consolidated Innovative Nuclear Research webinar. The next topic is Mission Supporting category, Mission Supporting 1 for Fuel Cycle Technologies. The federal manager for this area is Andy Griffith. He's the Office Director for Fuel Cycle R&D. Unfortunately, he too is on travel overseas this week, so I will be covering this area for him. His technical counterpart is the technical integrator for the fuel cycle R&D programs, Kamal, and I'm sorry, Kamal, I'm going to butcher your last name. Everybody knows Kamal from INL. They are the main points of contact. But really, as we go through this, you'll probably notice that your proposals here may fit in one of the specific campaigns within the fuel cycle program, and as such, the program managers for each of those individual campaigns will likely be your main point of contact moving forward. I believe most of you have probably seen this slide, just highlighting that it covers the entire fuel cycle from front end where we look at uranium resources. There was a presentation earlier about uranium extraction from seawater. We include fuel fabrication, both for current light water reactors and advanced reactors, transmutation, fuel for those. You'll notice that the reactor component is included, but we don't have any details described here, and that's because all reactor-related research and development is actually conducted out of our Reactor Technologies program, a separate office. But we work, fuel cycle and reactors work closely to come up with an integrated solution. Moving further along, you see interim storage, and that is one of our main priorities currently is the extended interim storage of used nuclear fuel. We also conduct reprocessing, recycle R&D, separations, whether it be electrochemical or advanced aqueous processes, and the associated waste forms from those recycle activities. We additionally look at ultimate disposal, geologic disposal options, looking at different geologies and different types of waste forms. It's not identified here, but there's also activity related to used fuel transportation. And across all of these are two different activities. One looking at options evaluation and systems analysis of the entire fuel cycle, as well as material protection and accounting for the fuel cycle. Those are also areas that are included within the fuel cycle program. This slide shows you the overall mission of DOE down to the Office of Nuclear Energy specifically, and you've heard most of this multiple times, so I won't go into detail. But then ultimately getting to the fuel cycle research and development mission, which is to develop used fuel waste management strategies and sustainable fuel cycles that improve resource utilization, minimize waste generation, improve safety, and limit proliferation risk. That's the overall goal of the fuel cycle program. And under this work scope, proposals that would meet and address that mission are sought. Now we have the objectives of fuel cycle R&D, near term, medium term, and long term. You'll notice this is a long-term program with the ultimate goal of demonstrating advanced technologies, whether it be a fuel cycle or a closed fuel cycle or some alternative, operating dry storage demonstration, and conducting engineering analysis of disposal sites are the longest-term activities. Moving more near-term, some of the priorities here in the near term are addressing the Blue Ribbon Commission recommendations on used fuel disposition. There's also an increased focus on accident-tolerant fuels, advanced fuels for current light water reactors and planned light water reactors. And they also have a major activity fuel cycle systems option study where they're looking at the entire universe of fuel cycle options and the combinations and doing a detailed evaluation and screening and down selection to determine which options are most promising and warrant further R&D. In addition to the down selecting to narrow the field, they're also trying to identify specific areas of research that might benefit multiple options, and that'll help steer future planning. And in the medium term, they're conducting science-based engineering-driven R&D on the multiple options with the ultimate goal of demonstrating the selected options. Here's another slide showing the balance between near-term and long-term objectives. And you can't work on everything, but you need to make sure that we're still doing enough to continue carrying all things forward for the foreseeable future. Here is the work scope for the mission supporting Fuel Cycle 1. Again, this is the general area where you can submit ideas related to the fuel cycle that may not fit within one of the other program supporting work scopes that support fuel cycle. And you'll see a couple activities highlighted but with an underline as priority items of interest to the program currently. The next several slides are just a slide for each of the fuel cycle campaigns. These are the technical program areas within the program. You've seen detailed presentations on all of these either earlier today or you will tomorrow. So I'm not going to spend too much time, but this gives you an idea of the types of things that are of interest. Separations and waste forms looks at advanced reprocessing and recycling and material recovery activities, as well as developing the associated waste forms from those processes. Advanced fuels, like I previously said, focuses both on near-term accident-tolerant fuels for light water reactors and metallic transmutation fuels for advanced reactors under a closed fuel cycle scenario. Systems analysis and integration looks at the complete picture, evaluates the different fuel cycle options, and identifies gaps where additional R&D is necessary. Materials protection accounting and control technology. This is the area that looks at the non-proliferation concerns associated with various options and works to develop technologies and analysis tools to minimize those risks. Fuel resources, this is now looking at the front end of the fuel cycle. The focus currently has been extracting uranium from seawater, and you'll hear more you heard more about this today. This is the second mission supporting area under fuel cycle. Used fuel storage and transportation. This is to support activities including the BRC recommendations looking at extended storage and associated transportation of used fuel. And you'll hear more about this tomorrow. High burnup dry fuel storage. This R&D project, this is very focused on extended storage demonstration of used fuel and the necessary technology and research associated with it. There's also a program looking at disposal, focusing on the geologic options, different geologies, different ways for final disposal of used fuel. And with that, I will take questions.
Is fuel reprocessing something that is included in this work scope?
Yes, it would be. There is a separate work scope. It's FC1, which covers specific areas of interest to these to separations or reprocessing. But if you have something related to reprocessing that doesn't fit within that specific work scope, it definitely would fit here.
Would research on degradation of fuel storage canisters be included in this work scope?
It would. Again, I think this might, depending on the specific area of interest, it may be more appropriate for that, the degradation, to be incorporated under the used fuel work scopes. There's a program supporting used fuel disposition work scope that covers storage, transportation, and disposal. It may be appropriate there. There's also 2 IRPs associated with storage, used fuel storage. So depending on what the specific area of interest is, it may fall in one of those program supporting or IRP work scopes, but if not, if it's something innovative that's outside of the specific interests identified in those other areas, it definitely would fit here as well.